the Chestburster, that was a very, very heavy scene. I think the strongest thing in the whole film, the idea came from a painting from Bacon, Francis Bacon. Ridley Scott told me that this painting from 46, it's just a crucifixion, and one of the member has just teeth and red flesh, and he liked to have the chest burster like that, and I did some design. They look like chicken, something like chicken without feather, but I was not happy with. And then build up the thing, and it looked like a small dinosaur, and that was awful. I said, cut the legs, and so finally we only had the head and the tail, and that was enough.
What I liked about the film is that it was a very logical film in many ways with a thriller format, and I thought that was an excellent blend. But it's perfectly reasonable. It seemed to me that something should that some organism should incubate within the warmth of another being, you know, in that way.
I feel the strongest thing is always if it happened in your body or in someone's body. That's enormous. A worm in some, a worm in a living body. Oh. Yeah, that's just under the skin, and you see how it moves. Ooh, yeah, I hate worms and snakes and things like that. It's awful. Ooh.
Well, people always ask me if we knew what was happening. Well, of course, we'd read the script. We knew that this little beast was going to come out.
We all knew what was in the script, which was the Chestburster, and then the line that John had, "Oh my God," and it was this long word.
Sigourney and I actually had a scene after where we had to have seen the little thing. So they took us down to the puppet shop because we said, we don't even know what it looks like. I mean, if we're supposed to be relating to this thing, we need to know what it looks like. So they took us down to the puppet shop to show us. And, of course, they were so cute. I mean, here's this, like, you know, sort of penis thing with these teeth. And here's this, the guy, oh, it's fabulous. Watch this. It breathes. See how it breathes? And then its teeth will go in and out. He starts describing this whole thing. Of course, it wasn't totally finished, but he was, like, so excited. Oh, okay, thanks.
The atmosphere on the set had a certain frisson, you know, in the morning, because everybody knew that this was filmically a sort of major scene. I don't think anybody had any idea that it would become a kind of film classic. It was much publicised, the fact that the cast didn't know what was going to happen. Well, of course, they knew what was going to happen. They knew that the alien was going to arrive that way. What they didn't know is that it was going to be capped with little explosives, and that when it actually burst through, there'd be quite a shattering explosion, and that they'd all get splattered with blood and stuff.
I was watching him go about all this, so I was watching the effects, how they were going to set it up, so I perhaps may have been the only one who was aware of how this was going to be done.
This was going to create such a mess. It was going to be a one-take operation anyway. So the table was the round kitchen table upon which John would fall, and they'd turn him over, stretch him out, and hold him down, and then he could start. Somewhere in there would be a airline on his chest, which would let off a blast of air in pink, which will go ch like that, and they all go, Jesus, leap back, and that gives them a cut. After that, clear the set, then we go in, and we basically screw down a artificial chest onto the table, which has its t-shirt pulled, you know, tightly on it. And you've got to razor blade this gently, because when that thing hits, you want it to burst it, because you're going to have a one shot, and in there's going to be bloodlines on high pressure pumps. They're going to blow blood everywhere.
I think our call was probably like 8 o'clock in the morning, something like that. 3 hours, 4 hours goes by. Harry's in the aisles. He's playing music. I think we even went to lunch, and we came back. We were still sitting up there.
I remember Veronica had no idea and wanted to be kept in the dark.
By this point, we were is going on. So by the time they take us down to the set, the entire thing is shrouded in plastic. They have huge big buckets of offal sitting around. The place smells of formaldehyde like you wouldn't believe it.
I think Nicky ought to send one of the guys down to, Ridley being keen on reality, to the local abattoir, where they got some kind of offal, a lot of blood and nasty bits and pieces.
We went and got all sorts of horrible things and buried it inside the chest. The special effects guys had arranged a ram for it to break out.
When we came down to the set, there was going to be a rehearsal, which I think is great. And everyone was in black raincoats. And Ron Shusett and Dan O'Bannon, the original writers of the Chestburster idea, were over in the corner kind of going, you know, like kids before Christmas.
I saw their faces when they brought them in. What they saw was John Hurt spread out on this table with all of these hoses. Everybody is covered up in suits. The actors walk in and they see that waiting for them. And I saw them, their faces all sort of dropped. They all sort of went like this, and their eyes got big and roamed around all over this stuff.
He says, all right, well, the thing comes through the chest and stuff like that. So we'll just start this scene. And then the special effects guy says to me, oh, you'll get a little blood on you. I said, oh, okay, you know. So we all start, John's acting, you know. So everybody starts to lean in. And all of a sudden, Ridley shouts, cut! Because they realized that it wasn't going to break through this sort of starting scene that had been filmed.
We had problems with actually getting the device through the t-shirt, and the t-shirt had been sort of hit with a bit of acid and stuff to make it weaker, and then very carefully cut with blades and things. And so when that thing pushes up in the beginning and doesn't come through the thing, that was actually a mistake. But it looked so good with the blood sort of surging through the t-shirt.
So off we go again. So we're all leaning forward, we're all looking. All of a sudden this thing, I mean, that was the first take. It was everybody's reaction. When that thing burst out of there, and they shot me with an entire blood pellet. It was like a jet of blood that hit I was so taken aback. My knees hit the back of the banquette and I flipped upside down, and I had 2 cowboy boots sticking up. I turn over, I realize they're still shooting. I have to get up and I continue acting.
I was looking across the chest on a longer lens towards Veronica Cartwright and Ian Holm. Blood sprayed everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, God, what a fantastic actress, right? God, Ian's reacting well. God, that's great. I realised that Veronica was in shock.
She was so hysterical, she cried so much. I think it was real.
What you saw on camera was the real response. You had no idea what the hell happened. All of a sudden this thing just came up.
Slow, Roger, and blood push out.
We didn't know what it was going to look like. And, I remember blood. I looked over and Veronica had blood all over her face. It was shocking. It was, all at once, it was like for real.
There's this great master where all of us are like watching it run off, because I think we were totally taken aback by how skillful it would be. The little thing did its little, and gosh, it looked alive, and then we were all in shock. How'd they do that, as actors and as characters?
The whole thing was really a trick in the cut. I mean, as I went onto the table and was in pain and so on, you might say in pangs of birth, there was a cut to the other side of the table by which time I had been replaced by a replica body, and that I was bent double under a hole in the table. So that happened in the cut from this side to that side. And then there was quite a long time as one prop man underneath the table kept pushing this alien on a stick, saying, "Is it coming through yet, Eric? Can you see it? Is it coming through?" He says, "No, not yet, Alf." A lot of that was going on.
Under the table is Roger Dickon, who had actually finally got to do the Chestburster. That wasn't Giga, it was Roger Dickon. And he let it fly, and it was very simply just underneath next to John, shove it hard through up here, hits the thing and bursts out. And then he has something on wires has got to make it go, you know, the snarl, and then reaction of the actors, then I can go to the next setup. And meanwhile, there'll be blood everywhere.
Turning, and ready, Raj, and action.
Blood.
Blood,
No.
push it out, pump it. Snarl, okay, and the head back. Snarl, go!
Shit, great.
Cut it,
Cut it. Save the blood.
The table was split, actually. There was about a 6-inch, maybe 8-inch gap. They had a man on a dolly, sort of skateboard thing underneath, and he had the puppet up like this. And then there was a guy with a rope, on tow rope, on the other side, and he would do his thing, and then they would just whip him out, and off he'd go.
They wanted the tail to move on it, and I hit upon the idea of just putting a little tiny thin plastic tube down the end of the tail, and just valving about 100 pounds to the square inch through the tail, and it made the tail do that as it went whistling off across the floor. And it was something that took us 5 minutes to do, and we thought that was going to be one of those things that was going to take us for ages to do.
Things could be done in post today. We'll digitally do the little baby alien and stick him on later, etc. But we had to do it kind of then. So it's the same old kind of elastic band and chewing gum making movie type mentality that I think we were forced to use, but very, very effective when it's cut well and shot well. It works incredibly effectively.
To me, when I look back,